Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
This podcast is brought to you by the Jefferson County Department of Health.
Hello, everyone. This is Jarvis S. Scott with What's Happening Birmingham. Today, I have the honor and pleasure of welcoming back my good friends at TruFund Financial Services, Kim and Kara. Good afternoon, ladies.
Hello, Birmingham. How are you?
Great. I know it's been a while, Kim, since you've been on.
It has. It really has. About a couple of years, huh?
Yes, and How has the world changed for businesses?
The world has changed. The landscape has changed. The work that we're doing has shifted and pivoted. I'm sure all the small business owners listening have shifted and pivoted. So what you got for us, Jarvis? We're ready for it.
Okay, so I want to bring them on today to talk about the continuing work they're doing, helping businesses kind of recover from the pandemic, and also talk about what to do after COVID is over with, because we're going to get over this, people. At some point, we keep coming up with different variants and their cousins and everybody of the alphabet. So, but at some point, as a business owner, we all know that to continue to stay in business, we got to keep going. So we got a new year. So I want to bring them on to kind of talk about some of the new programs and services that they continue to offer, not only here in Birmingham, but across the state, and some of the work they do, because this is a national brand, of course. First question, how you all been doing?
We've been doing great, Jarvis. TruFund has been in the trenches, during the pandemic, and I would love to say post-pandemic, but as you stated, we are still essentially going through this alongside the small business owners, but we've been doing great. We've been really innovative in our approach to supporting small businesses, taking part in a lot of national programs and really bringing dollars and resources to the state of Alabama, and in particular to Birmingham small businesses. So the team has just been all over the place. We've been working really hard for our small businesses, and the small businesses, they have really been responding well, but there are some gaps that we're continuing to identify. And so Kara and myself and the remainder of our Alabama team have really been listening to the small businesses to hear, about some of the things that they're still dealing with. And we're looking not only just on a local scope, but looking nationally at how do we help support those gaps that exist in the market, and how do we continue to raise dollars to bring into the market to support those small business owners.
All right, and I guess before we go start, tell everyone you all's roles, starting with you, Kim.
Sure. I am Kim Carter Evans. I'm the Vice President and Managing Director of the Southeast region for TruFund, which is inclusive of the southern states, Alabama, Louisiana, and most recently the state of Georgia. We've been in Alabama historically over 12 years now, in the state of Louisiana for over 15 years, supporting small business owners. So well before the pandemic has just given us another opportunity to support small business owners in the markets that we serve.
Okay, Kara, your turn.
Thank you. I'm Kara Halfacre. I am the program officer for TruFund over Alabama and Georgia. And I help put on the programs and making sure that we are running programs that are meeting the needs of our small businesses.
Okay, so let's kind of start with, of course, what's been going on the last 18 months. So when the COVID-19 first hit, how did you all respond as far as the type of services you all offer and programs offered to businesses?
So our initial response was very similar to what you will hear with other small business providers, was really assessment, getting some data collection. So we did a survey to the small business owners in our communities to really just hear from them what they were feeling, what they were seeing, what they were experiencing with their small businesses, and what they felt like those initial needs were. From that survey, we were able to bucket those needs into an array of services, and the first being that of response. So, you have that initial response. Here's what's going on. Here's the initial need of the small business community. But we understand, because we historically have worked with small business owners that have been interrupted by disaster, with our work with natural disasters in the state of Louisiana with the hurricanes. That's the most hit coast, U.S. coast for hurricanes. So TruFund was well versed on how to respond to disaster. And that was our initial response to COVID as well. It's just, what does the response look like? But beyond that, you have to get to a point of restoring the small business owner and then getting to full restoration, which is where we are starting to pivot towards now. As you stated before, it's just hard to get to that because this is an evolving disaster, which is unlike those disasters that have a distinct endpoint. And so we continue to survey businesses to see where they are at this particular component and what their needs are right now. So that was our first response. Of course, everyone else that's in this space was scurrying, to make sure that we had adequate capital to support the business owners with the capital that they need. But the reality is at that particular pivotal point at the beginning, business owners really just didn't have a grasp. It's very much like what we were dealing with on a personal note. No one knew. No one could say that 18 months from now we would be in this same space. So, at that point, although we are a lender, would it have been wise for the business owners to just take on a lot of debt because they were experiencing some initial losses of revenue? So in addition to debt products that we traditionally offer, we began to work with our corporate partners as well as our banking partners to raise additional resources to support grant opportunities, and then also advisement. So continue to advise, really looking at what was happening within the market and helping those business owners that could initially make that initial pivot to maybe offering their services in a different way. TruFund also started to offer our services in a different way. We continue to work near 100% virtually with our loan products as well as with the programs, which Kara is going to talk a little bit more about some of the programs. But that's essentially how we started the process of supporting small businesses with COVID-19.
Now, before I get to Kara about the programs and services, were you all assisting businesses with when it came to with PPP, I guess continuing now with EIDL as far as help fill out those applications?
We were. So, as but just to the business community, TruFund is a CDFI, a community development financial institution, and we work with small business owners in a multitude of ways. So small business capital provision is just only one of the lanes of the functions in which we work with business owners, but we have our business advisement and programming, which could look like one-to-one advisement, looking at a business owner and what they need specifically, and then working to give recommendations. It can also consist of cohort style training where you're joining a group of small business owners. So with that one-to-one, that allowed us the opportunity for those business owners that had the need to get that additional support to understand, one, what is the EIDL? Because if you recall, at that time, there were just so many different products that were out there. And I know, as an entrepreneur myself, it was just a lot to sift through, so we were absolutely there on the ground working with business owners, making sure that they understood what types of loans were available to them, which ones were the best loans for them to look at. We did servicing of the PPP, and to date, TruFund has lent over $50 million in PPP across our footprint. So that's just indicative of the number of businesses that we supported with that particular product, but we also supported. Now, EIDL is an SBA specific product. So that is not something that TruFund could essentially service, but what we did do was provide that one-to-one business advisory to make sure that business owners not only understood, but they understood the documentation that was needed, and also the processes to get their applications into the SBA. Okay.
So, Kara, what were some of the programs that you all been offering over the last year and a half, and kind of thinking about offering now coming into 2022?
Yeah, so this past year in Alabama, we led a resiliency focused program in Mobile and Birmingham, our Business at the Beach series. And our participants went through the resiliency of their business to figure out what areas did they need to improve. And so all of our participants took a resiliency assessment at the beginning to look at those systems. Do they have a relationship with the bank? Do they have the tech in place? Do they have HR in place? And then at the end of the program, they took the same assessment, and on average, our participants grew 60% in growth because of this program. And so we did a lot of resiliency training in 2021. And so 2022 is really a season of growth we are hoping for our businesses. And so in January, we will be having our 2022 Kick It Off with Capital program. for those businesses that have been in business for 2 or so years and are at a place that they need capital. And so in that program, we'll go through the fundamentals of capital. We'll look at your cash flows, projections, and things like that, with the ultimate goal of being as close to loan ready as possible by the end. And we'll have a couple of information sessions for that program in January. And then the other big program is our Empowered by Godaddy program. And we found from our business assessments that 60% of our business owners have marketing as one of their largest challenges. And of those, 30% don't have a website. And so we were fortunate enough to be to partner with Godaddy over the last year and for the next 18 months to offer our Empowered by Godaddy program, where our business owners will get to build out their website, learn about web design, and then take it to that next step of learning about social media, how to get clients onto their website, and things like that. And so that's going to start. We just finished cohort 1. 30 businesses just received their business website, and then cohort 2 will start sometime in March. So those are big two
programs. I've seen some called True Access Contractors Education Program. You can tell me a little more about that?
Yes. So our True Access program is for contractors and vendors and focuses on those businesses. And so they have the chance to learn how to find those bids and RFPs, respond to those bids and RFPs, and then work on the contracting side. And I'm glad you brought that up, Jarvis. We are actually going to be having a Resilient Contractor boot camp for our Alabama market in February, on February 24th and 25th. And it's going to be in person, and we're really excited about it. But again, we're going to go through that whole process, how to find, how to respond, how to finance, and how to manage, and like about an 8-hour boot camp. So any vendors and contractors will be opening up that application soon.
Okay, and then I think another one I saw on your website, the Women in Business Empower Her program. Did I get it right?
Yes. So yes, we have Empower. Yes, we have all of these programs. Women in Business, we just finished our first tier, Build Her, and so that's going to flow into the Certify Her program starting in February. And so, Pitch Her programs in February. And the pitch is all about the elevator pitch, making sure you know your product, making sure you know how to talk about your product. And so that will be a 5-week series. And then following Pitch Her, we will go into Certify Her. So a lot of times our business owners, our women and business owners might not have their DUNS number in place, might not be connected to SAM.gov. And so we walk them through that process. And then we are helping our women business owners find contracts, respond to contracts, talk about how to use your certifications to grow your business.
Now, going back, this next question I want to ask you both is, I guess if somebody's watching this podcast that's a business owner, and I guess some business owner almost want to get straight to the point, what is the minimum, if you can tell me, what is the minimum average credit score someone needs to have to be able to get one of your loan products?
Yeah, so, that's it seems like the very simple question. And what I'd like to say to business owners is, if we can give you a concrete credit score, then that means that we're stuck into a box. If you don't have that credit score, then there's nothing we can do for you. The good thing about a CDFI or a community development institution is we have a lot more subjectivity in how we make loans. So we don't like to just say, here's the distinct credit score that you have to have. Now, for those business owners that want to push us to give them a number, we generally try to stay on the side of 600 or greater. But we have, we have seen loans that have come through that we've been able to support that maybe didn't have the 600. So we always ask business owners, even if they see flyers that have those concrete data points, 600 or greater credit score in business for at least 12 months or greater, don't try to analyze and self-assess. We always encourage our business owners to come in, speak with one of our business development officers. They have direct connectivity to our underwriting team and can take a look at your documentation, because at the end of the day, it really is about your ability to cash flow the amount of dollar loan that you're looking to get from TruFund. But depending on the product, there's other things that we can look at. For example, you mentioned True Access. Well, we have two products that are for contracting businesses. Our mobilization product, where we can lend up to a percentage of the contract value, and then also our term loan product. For business owners that might qualify or fit within that contracting space, we can look at your ability to provide an assignment. And what an assignment is when you have the ability, the procuring agency, to offer TruFund a little bit more solace in saying, we're going to make sure that you are repaid your money, because we're going to offer this contract essentially as collateral. The assignment allows us to work directly with the procuring agency to make sure that the initial dollars go to repaying the loan that is used to actually mobilize and get needed equipment or get staffing on board to actually do the work before that money just being handed off to the business. So again, it really just depends on the product, what those specific details are going to look like. So yes, there is concrete information out there. You can get all of that information on our website at www.trufund.org. And that's TruFund, TRUFUND.org. But again, once you go to the website and you take a look at that information, do not self-assess. Contact your business development officer in your market and make sure to sit down with them, have a conversation. They'll start the process of gathering the necessary documentation and do an analysis of that documentation with you. And at that point, they can tell you, one, if you're in fact qualifying or capital ready is what we like to call it. And then if you're capital ready, what loan product is the best fit? And so those terms are really going to be dependent on the loan product. So there's really a process by which getting to, okay, what are the specific terms of, a TruFund loan?
Okay, and one thing I want to go back earlier, it was one of my topics I was going to talk with you all about. What's True Impact in Alabama? What was that? Was that like a report?
So True Impact is our mantra around, it's TruFund. It's a play on our brand and the impact that we have across our footprint. So when you state True Impact in Alabama, it's our way of communicating the impact that we're having across the state of Alabama and within the big 5 cities, which is essentially our targeted population. So we really focus in on business owners in Birmingham, Mobile, Montgomery, Huntsville, and Tuscaloosa. So True Impact is the number of loans that we've done, the number of businesses that we've had the ability to impact, whether it be through our loan capital, our new markets tax credit platform, our impact developers fund, or our business advisory and programming and technical assistance. Okay.
And like one thing I know this, just me talking to a lot of businesses, and I guess you all probably agree when I just say this, that, when this COVID-19 thing happened, one thing I found out, I talked to a lot of businesses, and a lot of them didn't have a plan. A lot of them didn't have a business plan.
Right.
Even that, most times have a disaster plan set up for your business, or kind of like a pivot plan. Is there anything you all are thinking about doing possibly next year to kind of get to the root, to kind of develop a business plan for businesses?
So we do have our Renew Resiliency program that will be in March, and that it's exactly what you were talking about. Is our participants go through, create an action plan, think about what do they need to do before, during, and after the disaster as it relates to their accounting systems, human resources. Business insurance was a huge one that you couldn't necessarily get COVID insurance, but there were other things you could have had in place that would have been beneficial. And so through that program, they create that action plan, and then we talk about what can they implement now, and then make sure we're following up to make sure they are implementing the plan they've created. And on top of that, we also have our SOAR resiliency to support, that plan and disaster. And I know we have the SOAR program. It's 4.5% interest rate. And if you were in business as of 2019 and have a positive NOI, you most likely will be eligible, but again, reaching out to your business development officer to get more information for that. And Kim, you look like you were about to say something.
Yeah,
So the only thing I wanted to add there is Kara spoke about that positive NOI. And so that's, industry language. We want to make sure that for the business owners that are listening, that they understand fully what that NOI stands for.
Okay, and then one thing I want to say too is that, well, a lot of these businesses, what do you say to a couple of businesses that say, look, I done great. I made it through the pandemic. I didn't need any business loans, but then they come back and they say, oh, I want to get business credit.
So we're not a credit entity. We do make recommendations and we have partnerships on both sides, and that's working to enhance your credit scoring and your credit profile through several partner programs, but also we can give advisory on how to go about building your credit profile. And we do so in our various programs. So we talk about the Credit Smart Contractor, we talk about the Credit Smart Business, and we have some of our fiduciary partners that come in and talk about some of the credit products that they may have, like Regions Bank or Capital One or Truist Bank. And then we also have some of our facilitators that come in and really talk about what does it look like to build your credit profile as a small business, obtaining your DUNS number, making sure that you have, access to lines of credit or access to credit cards. But those particular products are not available at TruFund, but we do in fact work with small businesses to have an understanding of what that looks like and what they need to do to facilitate that process. Now, once they have established their business credit, and then they have a strong credit profile and the credit scoring that aligns with that, then we stand ready to offer them access to capital as long as they do have the ability to cash flow the loan.
Okay, and then you went back earlier, you said as far as like documentation, would it be safe to say the basic documentation, if they don't even have just basic tax returns, bank statements?
So you are, hitting the nail on the head. Those are some of the basic documents that are required. Is it that we won't work with you if you don't have any of those loans? Absolutely not. You just may not be capital ready. You heard me state that earlier in the interview. But what we do is if we find a small business that is not capital ready, then we hand them off to our program officers like Kara, and they work to make sure to help get you capital ready. But if a business comes in and they have the access to those documents, so that's your at least 2 years tax returns. It's a filled out application for a TruFund loan. Do you have your balance sheet? Do you have a profit and loss statement or a cash flow statement? And does the business owner understand what the numbers that are on those documents say about your small business? So on the program side, we work with business owners to make sure that they definitely have those documents and that they have that layer of understanding. And on the business development or the lending side, if a business owner comes and they're already at a different level and they have that information, then we stand ready to work with them to put a loan package together and then submit that for against one of our loan products that's the best fit for the client.
Okay, I don't want to get back too much into the weeds. I always like throw hypothetical situations, like say for instance, like you got a business owner, his past 2 years haven't been so strong, but this last recent year, he just like boom, 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 boom. So do you have products that go just off of last 12 months, or you do something like you said, 2 or 3 years to kind of give it like, oh, that's an underwriter.
And
true. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say our business development officers will usually give out a template related to your cash flow, because the bottom line is we want to make sure that we can cash flow the debt. And so the business development officer will walk through those different components and basically run it through a spreadsheet software to determine if they can pay for that. And Kim, what were you going to add?
So I was just going to add to Jarvis's point, if that hypothetical business owner came in and they had a slam dunk year, and they have the documentation to show proof of that. So that's their P&Ls for that 12 months. In this particular environment, because we are also aware of the last 18 plus months and the COVID implications of that, we have some very specific products that allow us to look at loans a little bit differently than we traditionally would. So if you were coming into TruFund prior to COVID-19 pandemic, we are looking at your last two years of tax returns to show us some historical data about the trajectory of your business. In this particular environment, if you had a slam dunk 2021, but you had some challenges in 2020, we can understand that could have been revenue losses due to the pandemic. In those cases, what we're asking business owners to do is give us additional historic information. So in order for us to take into consideration the losses that you may have experienced in 2020, we might need to see 2018 and 2019 to show I was a strong business. I suffered losses of revenue because of the pandemic, but I have been in the upswing in 2021, and now I need additional capital to continue to grow my business. What would be tough, though, is if it was a new business that just started and did not show income in 2020, but maybe they had a positive 2021. We do have limited products that will allow us to only look at P&Ls without, in the absence of any tax returns or any historical data or future projections. But again, the good thing about a CDFI is that subjectivity and our ability to really work with a client and meet them where they are. So coming in and meeting with our business development officers, we have the ability to take a look at where you are. And if we find that, okay, it's a better fit for right now for you to work with our program side or some of our other partners like the SBDCs to help get some of these documents in place, then that's what we do. So we would do our best to not just give a quick no, but maybe a not right now or just a not yet, and help put the plan in place to get you to that yes.
Okay. So Kara, back to you. Is there any programs you think, other than the programs that you're offering let me first back up. Are you all going to be doing any type of hybrid type of programs next year, that in person, or are you still doing the virtual model?
We have talked about doing some hybrid. It is interesting. We just ran a poll with our most recent Empowered by Godaddy, and 80% do want to remain 100% virtual. So we will have virtual programs, but we are looking to do hybrid probably in the latter half of 2022.
Okay. I'm trying to think any other questions, any things you all we haven't talked about. Would you all like to? Because one thing I do like how you just said, Kim, and I haven't heard a lot of people offer this product. The thing about the True Access, the real thing I'm finding out, because I'm in the process trying to get the SAM and the government contract and all that, is that most of these government contracts, to actually get it takes between like 12 to 24 months. And even if you are awarded the contract, you may, if you have people working for you, you got to have money to pay for that while that's going on.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. And that's your net. So you may have a net 30, a net 60, or a net 90, or even greater payout. And the unfortunate reality for the small businesses that we serve is there's not very many that just have money just sitting aside waiting to front load expenses while they wait for a payout on a contract. And that was one of the reasons why TruFund innovated not only with the educational component of True Access Contractor program, but the lending alignment as well, with the consideration that we understand our small business owners, and we understand that they just cannot front load those expenses. But even with a well thought out product that works really good for the business need, the business owner has to do their part, and that's making sure that your documentation is in proper order so that you position yourself to be able to access the capital. You hear very loosely all the time, access to capital, but as a small business owner, I encourage you to think about, am I capital ready? Because another entity can give me access or entry, but that doesn't mean I can get across the threshold if I have not done my part. So again, taking advantage when all the programs that Kara has spoken about today are at no cost to the small business owner, because we do have fiduciary partners that sponsor these programs. With that, there's no excuse to not take part and to learn and, to return to get this education and this information that's at no cost to you, to make sure that your business is in the best position to access capital for growth and long-term sustainability.
And one thing I want to add too, business owners that's watching this, that will be watching this podcast, because we're taping it right now, is that at some point in your business, you're going to need some capital.
Absolutely.
And the thing about it is, and I keep hearing this repeatedly through this interview, is documentation, documentation, documentation. If anything, if this pandemic is taught business owners, is that expect the unexpected, and you got to have your paperwork together. Absolutely. Because if you don't have that, that's more dangerous than COVID-19, even after this is over with.
Yes, it is. Yes,
it is. And we're at the end of, I was going to say, we're at the end of 2021. And so I'm thinking business owners, make sure you're getting your taxes together now. We found that 25% of our program participants hadn't filed their taxes for 2020. And so as you're rounding out 2021, make sure you're meeting with your accountants, make sure you're getting those documents in place so that you can get 2022 started off right.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're here to support you, but I can't say it enough that, we meet you where you are, and we're willing to link arms, roll up our sleeves and support you, but we absolutely need the business owner to do their part. There's just certain things that no matter how innovative our programs and products are, that we cannot do for the business owner, that they have to do for themselves. So we encourage you, even if you don't know where to start, come and speak with us. Kara is always available. Tamika McNeil, another one of our colleagues in the Alabama market, is always available. I avail myself as well to just speak with the business owners to determine, where are you? And we make the promise that we will meet you where you are, and place you in the proper program or product line, for your small business.
And then another thing I want to add too, I won't be like I'm preaching. Business owner, it's very important to get this business plan set up, because if you have a business plan, it's much better when you come to TruFund and say, this is what my numbers. If you come to TruFund and you just say, well, I think I need like $50,000. What you gonna do with $50,000? But if you have a business plan, you already have that set up, what you gonna do with the $50,000?
Absolutely. And, and we're the three of us are sitting here kind of giggling about that, but we hear that every day. If our business development officer, Tamika McNeil, was on the line, she would absolutely share with you the number of times a day that she gets a call and they say, I need $100,000. Well, what are your plans? How do you plan to spend this $100,000? What are the expenditures? And the business owner simply does not know. So then the adjacent question is, well, how do you know that $100,000 is what you actually need if you haven't really done a full assessment of your business? I understand as an entrepreneur or small business owner, we understand our craft, your craft, but you may not know or have the business acumen, but that is where services and service providers like TruFund come into play. Before asking for a certain amount, come in and work on our program side, and Kara and her team will make sure that you understand those things, that you have the ability to put together an adequate business plan, a business development plan, which is very different from your initial business plan, and also your strategic growth plan and resiliency planning. So there's so many different types of planning. And I'm going to take another book from our colleague, Tamika, since she's not here, I have to represent Tamika. But if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So, while it may seem daunting, you have the support here with the staff to help you through those processes, getting those plans in order, and being able to articulate. It's a great feeling to be able to articulate and fully understand where your business is, what your business needs, and how you plan to grow and sustain and be in business and look back 5 years from now and say, okay, I grew from here to here, and I had an adequate plan to do so.
Yes, and I guess the magic question I need to ask you all is, how can they get in contact with you all?
Carrie, you want to take that one?
Yes. So my email is khalfaker, HALF as in Frank, AKER @TruFund.org. And Tamika McNeil is the business development officer. Her email is tmcneal, MCNEAL, @trufund.org. And then always the website. There's an info button on the website. If you go to trufund.org, and we will make sure you get in contact with the right person from there.
Okay, and the phone number here in this market?
We do. We do have a phone number. Look, it is interesting that we have a phone number, but what is the phone number? The website is www.trufund.org. And you can reach us at 205-715-2710. Or you can reach us at 205-715-2712. That's my direct line. The 2710 is the main line for our Alabama office that supports all of the Alabama market. So at any time, you can reach Kara, myself, or Tamika on that 2710 line, as well as Kara stated, our email addresses. Mine is kevans@trufund.org, and that's TRUFUND.org.
All right, well, thank you all for coming on. I'm gonna bring you all back on sometime in the spring. Kind of because we're gonna do too many gaps, It's been about 2 years since last time.
It has been. It's been a while. I think we were actually advertising the launch of bringing the True Access program to the Alabama market last. We spoke in the opening of our Small Business Support Center, which we opened. We had, great results from that Small Business Support Center, and then we went into COVID. So, again, to the small business owners, we have to pivot as well. We have this great center that we're unfortunately unable to use in the same capacity, but we have to pivot. That's a part of entrepreneurship. So we're here to support you in doing so.
All right. Well, thank you both for coming on today. Thank you all for watching today. Please check out what'shappeningbirmingham.com for more interviews. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you can check out this glorious podcast now on Apple Podcasts. Everybody, keep on telling everybody do Apple Podcasts. Thank you all again. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jarvis, for having us. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.